What's up, guys? This is Avilo here, bringing you another metagame update. And guess what? This time, we're getting real here. We're getting serious. We gotta talk about something that no other show is talking about. No other casters, no other players are talking about this. And this is actually a huge balance and metagame issue. And the reason it's not talked about, there's a couple reasons. A, because it's something that it's against Terran. Here's the thing, when Heart of the Swarm came out, there was an uproar about Terran's OP, Terran's imbalance, Terran this, that, and it turns out it wasn't so bad after all, the medevac boost and the other stuff, because people figured it out. It's Hellbat's actually still an issue, and that's one thing I'm going to talk about at the end of this, but everything else is actually, there's this uproar. T is OP, so everybody, including any other show, StarCraft show you've seen, they fail to mention TvP issues, and so I'm going to go right into this. The issue. What is the issue? The issue right now in Terran versus Protoss, the Mothership core. It's too good. It's right. If you guys, the best analogy I can make on what the Mothership core is doing to Terran versus Protoss at the moment is, it's basically the Queen range buff in Protoss form. Everybody remembers Wings of Liberty Zerg players. They could do a lot of different things. They could get up to Broodlord Infestor, but TVZ was very dynamic. It was like back and forth, Marine tank, Mutiling, Baneling. You remember Nest T on Crossfire against whatever Terran it was. Nest T like barely won with Mutiling, Baneling landmines. It was epic. And then the Queen range buff patch hit, and the Overlord speed buff hit. And suddenly, every TVZ, the Terran couldn't do any damage through these Queens anymore. And every single game, the Zerg was hitting their late game, getting to late game, getting to Hive Tech like 2 minutes earlier than they were before. And this is what led to a lot of the imbalance in Wings of Liberty of Broodlord Infestor and Zerg at the end. And that's exactly what the Mothership core is doing right now in TvP. Protoss has... The issue with the matchup right now is the risk, reward, and the effort is all on the Terran player. Terran is essentially forced into a macro game due to the Mothership core. You can't all in. The most aggression you can do is like little pokes with like a medevac and mines. But most Protosses nowadays are so they hold it off easily. Cloak Banshee is dead. You can't go that anymore. Basically, if you're going to say any aggression, you have to ask, will it deal with the Mothership core, or will it be able to get through the Mothership core? Siege tank, 1-1-1 all in. Nope. Planetary Nexus actually has the same range as a siege tank in siege mode. So no all-ins work against Protoss. So Terran is forced into a macro game. You can go 1-1-1 with an expansion and try and play it from there, or you can try and go one Rax expand off of a Reaper or whatnot and play it from there. But the amount of all-ins that Protoss has is basically doubled since Wings of Liberty. You have the Proxy Oracle, the in-base Oracle where you just build it in your base, 3-gate Oracle where you keep building Oracles. You have 3-gate Blink Stalker with the Mothership core, 3-gate Blink Stalker with the Robo for the Observers. You have 4-gate Blink Stalker with only the Mothership core, which is really all in. You have DT Shrine, cheaper. You can proxy the DT Shrine. You can put it in your base and just play macro DT, where if Terran doesn't have detection, they just auto lose the game. But you're still in it. You can do damage, force scans. You can play the DT drop after expand, and the thing is, all of these all-ins, maybe in Wings of Liberty you could punish them. Not anymore. The thing is, these all-ins can actually just boom, chop off Terran's head and end the game in 10 minutes, whereas Terran has no retaliatory options against the Planetary Nexus and Mothership core. And this, nobody on any show has said anything about this, but there's been some hearsay, and there's been some rumblings that Korean Terrans and casters and people in the Korean community recognize that, or have been saying this is a problem, that you even heard it from David Kim, the balance designer of StarCraft 2, even mentioned this, that the Korean Terrans and every Terran right now is rightfully and legitimate. He didn't say that. This is my words, but they're complaining about the Mothership core. It's too powerful in defensively, because it's doing what the Queen range buff did in Wings of Liberty. It's letting Protoss skip sentries. Like in Wings of Liberty, you would need maybe 4 or 5 sentries. You would need sentries to hold stuff off, because your Nexus wasn't a giant cannon, and a Nexus has a lot of health. And so what the Mothership core is doing is it's letting Protosses be greedier. They can tech Colossus and Double Forge at the same time, and hold off all of your drop harass with the planetary Nexus. It lets them get into Templar faster. Because they have the planetary Nexus defense, and they have less. They don't need as many sentries, so that's gas invested in other stuff. And so a lot of TvPs right now, it always feels like Terran is going into the game at a disadvantage, or the Terran just auto loses the game to the one base all-in that Protoss chose. And the thing is, figuring out what one base all-in Protoss is doing is also another part of the issue, because it can be any of those ones I mentioned earlier, even a 4-gate, a normal 4-gate. Go figure. It could even be that. There's just so many. And let's look at the list of all-ins that Terran can do now. There is none. None of them actually really break through the Mothership core defense. So you see the problem? So that's what this metagame update is focusing on. This TvP issue. I hope people will spread this video around and get it out there. And I hope to God other casters, other personalities, other pro players, Terrans especially. I've seen some shows. I think Theognis is on another show. He didn't mention any of this. Terrans are afraid to open their mouths about this, and I understand why, because we get flack for it. If you speak up, but there's only Protosses and Zergs on these shows talking about Protoss and Zerg stuff. They failed to mention, this is a huge metagame issue, TvP. It's actually breaking the game in favor of Protoss, objectively, and the matchup right now is in favor of Protoss. I don't think any Terran will not disagree with me. No Terran is going to openly say it, because once again, they don't want flack from the community. But I'm going to say it because I'm being real with you guys, and this is actually an issue with the game that needs adjustment. Maybe, for example, lowering the range of the planetary cannon on the Nexus, lowering the range, maybe not the same range as a siege tank in siege mode, so that there's still the threat you could die to these things, instead of just he's going 1-1-1, one button planetary Nexus, I'm safe or whatever. And I'm not saying, and here's the thing, guys, I'm not saying the matchup is unwinnable. No, the matchup it's still winnable. It's just that it feels like an uphill battle. It feels like there's an advantage for one race over the other, and so that's the thing. If one race seems to have an advantage over the other, that's actually an imbalance, and it should be adjusted a little bit. So maybe make the planetary Nexus gun take 150 energy, so that you have to build it up and you can't use it so often. Something like, those are tweaks that could be done, but something has to be done, because right now Protoss they're happy as hell. They're being greedy. Double forge. I'm just waiting for somebody to go triple forge off of one gateway, because the stuff I've seen lately, I've seen double forge robotics no observer off of one gateway with an expansion and a Mothership core. You're seeing crazy stuff like this because Protoss can't die in the early game. There's just they can't die. It's exactly like the TvZ Wings of Liberty Queen buff. Zerg can no longer die in the early game. So once again, it's these tiny things, they snowball. Remember, Terran has that 10-minute timing with the Metavacs. Terran has to be able to do some kind of damage or do something to slow Protoss down, but all of the stuff that previously would slow Protoss down or do damage or, you know, those things of that nature, it's all shut down by the planetary nexus targeting the medevac, and by this accelerated tech, getting the forges earlier, chrono boosting the upgrades earlier. You don't need observers anymore because you have hallucinated Phoenix from, you know, your first 2 sentries, so you can go straight into Colossus. The gas that you would have needed on extra sentries goes into upgrades, chrono boosting those. Like, so it's this thing where Protoss is actually reaching their late game like a minute and a half, 2 minutes earlier than normal, than what would be expected, because they're able to defend all this harass, not take any damage, and then it's like, well, I guess I'm playing a macro game every game as Terran against Protoss. So TvP, that the Mothership core really needs to be looked at. I am 100% sure that Korean Terrans and the Korean community, they must be talking about this somewhere in their pro houses or the Korean Terrans somewhere, and I'm sure every foreign Terran has it on their mind, but nobody's speaking up about this stuff. I mean, it's just nobody's talking about it. The only person I've talked to about it that has had similar thoughts is Pain User. I haven't seen anybody else express anything about this Mothership core, you know, Protoss being unkillable, and as well as having all these all-ins in the first 10 minutes that can outright kill Terran, but Terran can't kill them back. So that's the TvP thing. So hopefully, they adjust the Mothership core, and hopefully this is recognized as an issue, because what we don't want, guys, is 1 year from now, every TvP is like at 70% for Protoss, and then everybody's like, why? What happened here? How come every game Terran can't do any damage to Protoss? And then it's like, well, little Johnny, Mothership core, the guy has a planetary fortress 7 minutes in the game. So so that's the first metagame thing. Second metagame thing, Dkim has proposed a warp prism buff. What? Fix the Mothership core first. Adjust the Mothership core. Adjust oracles so proxy oracles not like a free win if they don't have a missile turret. Like, and also one thing I think that could help. By the way, a suggestion that would help with these to help alleviate the issue that Protoss has all these different things they can do. They can do DT, proxy oracle, blink stalkers. They have all these different things they can do. Something that would help alleviate that is if missile turrets did not require an engineering bay to build, because then let's say that you scout the proxied Stargate, boom, you can put up a missile turret. You don't just instantly die because you didn't invest in an engineering bay, as well as now you wouldn't have to invest in an eBay. So that sort of takes that sort of, you know, instead of nerfing Protoss stuff too much, something like that would help Terran. And the really good players, you're gonna build a missile turret when you know they have an oracle, so I need one. Or he's going DTs. Now I can actually build. Now I don't just auto lose the game because I didn't have detection, or I just muled, or things like that. You can boom throw up a missile turret in the early game, so suddenly Terran's not insta dying to this stuff. You have that right there. The DTs, proxy oracles, in base oracles. Suddenly, those things are shut down a little bit easier. The other things like Blink Stalker, 4-gate, Proxy Robo, Immortal, all in, those will still be there. But because you have the, you know, missile turret no eBay requirement, allowing you to shut down 2 of the other all-ins easier, it makes it a lot better overall. So that would be my suggestion. So next order of business, like I was saying, Dkim, the warp prisms don't need to be buffed. They're already very, very good. And here's the thing: buffing warp prism so it doesn't have to upgrade speed doesn't even do anything late game, because you always research the speed late game anyways. It's sort of like the the Raven Seeker Missile change, like removing the research to the Seeker Missile in Wings of Liberty didn't do anything because it didn't affect the unit. You still had to wait for the entity. So this is sort of similar. You're gonna research the speed upgrade late game regardless of what happens. So what is this change? What would this change actually affect? Early game all-ins involving Warp Prism, such as 4-gate Warp Prism, basically any type of all-in involving a Warp Prism. You know, Immortals, the force field on the ramp in you can even do this against Terran, but the force field on the ramp against Zerg especially, suddenly you're flying a speed Warp Prism to the Zerg's ramp with 3 sentries in it, and boom, you force field. It's like, how'd that get there so fast? So it only affects early game all-in, so they should definitely not. This is a change. Like, once again, I've said it in the past. Like, when you're throwing out these changes as a balance designer, you have to have the gun to your head test. If somebody's holding a gun to your head and says, I'm gonna shoot you in the head if this balance change screws up the game in a very bad way or in a negative way, you have to be confident that change is not going to do that. And is this a change where you would take that risk with your life as a balance designer? No. Nope. This is a change that just makes early game Protoss all-ins better, mid game Protoss better, and it doesn't even do anything to late game because, like I said, Protoss has researched the speed upgrade there anyways. So that's actually just a terribly thought out change, and it should never go through, and hopefully will not go through. I understand the reasoning that they want to give Protoss other harass options instead of just the Oracle, but Warp Prisms are already good. How about Protoss players start using them? Alright, and the last thing here, this is something that for Terran is actually breaking TvT. You all guessed it, the Hellbat. It's broken, TvT. It's too strong. You guys may remember Blue Flame Hellions in Wings of Liberty when they two-shotted workers. Every TvT was literally who could Blue Flame drop the opponent the most and kill the most workers. And the game became centered around... The metagame became centered around countering Blue Flame builds and not countering Blue Flame builds. Did he go for a Blue Flame build, or is he Blue Flame dropping me, or did he do it? Like, it became too Hellion-centric on killing workers instead of actually playing the game, like good positioning. And also on top of this, it's easy as hell to do these Hellbat drops. It's easy. You just boost the medevac in, burn workers, you just hold position your Hellbats, kill workers, and then if they run away, you can boost on top of them. So this is something that needs to be looked at for Terran versus Terran, because it's too strong. It's just too strong. Can you counter it? Yes. Is it too strong? Yes, it is. Does it make the game really idiotic and stupid? Yes, it does. A game where it's like, who's dropping the most Hellbats? That's actually, it takes all the IQ and brain power out of the game, and it's just like, oh, I killed 20 workers and he killed 10 of mine. I guess I'm winning. So that's the final thing here. So first thing, TvP, fix the Mothership core, adjust it. I would suggest, making the missile turret not require an engineering bay to help alleviate TvP issues with all-ins, like DT, proxy oracle, stuff like that. You'll have detection, you'll have anti-air. Second thing, Warp Prism does not need a speed buff. I think I watched a video. Apollo had the same reaction. It's like facepalm. It doesn't affect anything in the early game. So this is I joked about it on my stream before, but you're gonna have like a Warp Prism zooming by. You're gonna have a Viking chasing the Warp Prism, and then in the next patch they're gonna have to make the Viking faster so that it catches the Warp Prism, and then the patch after that they're gonna have to make the Phoenix faster so it can catch the Viking. So no, this is gonna make Warp Prisms in the early and mid game uncatchable for Protoss, for all three races. So yeah. And the final thing, of course, Hellbat TvT, please Blizzard, do something about this. TvT went from being a really enjoyable artistic matchup of positioning and beauty, Picasso, Da Vinci, you setting up a contain, you have a turret ring, and now TvT is all your workers are dead. Ah! So it changed from pure artistry into pure idiocy. So fix the Hellbat TvT. And that's the metagame update, guys. That's all I got for you right now. So thank you for watching. Tune into my stream, twitch.tv/Avilo, twitch.tv/Avilo, and follow me on Twitter as well, and leave comments, flame me, constructive criticism, what you think about these three things: the Warp Prism, the proposed Warp Prism speed buff, TvP issues in the early mid game, and the Mothership core being, 7-minute planetary fortress pretty good on either nexus. And then finally, of course, what do you think of Hellbat TvT, guys? Is it making you is it lowering your IQ playing these games when you're just dropping Hellbats over and over in the opponent's base? So yeah, peace. Thanks for watching, guys. See you later.